All right, middle schoolers, I am going to be showing you how to start off by building your boxcar for our 3D design project. We've already looked at Tinkercad just a little bit. If you remember, this is our work plane. This is like the table where you will be placing your blocks or your shapes as we are designing. To rotate around on your work plane, you just need to grab the cube up here in the upper left. As you can see, we can rotate all the way around. When we look at our rail car, we need to realize that it is really just a couple of basic shapes. The first one is our cube. Now, obviously, a rail car is not in the shape of a cube, so I need to stretch that. I'm going to grab this bottom right corner and pull that over. I don't have exact dimensions. I'm not super interested in that, but I do definitely want it to be more of a rectangular prism and not a cube. So there's that. Now, I need to lift this up. I'm not going to attach my wheels to this. This is going to be the top of my rail car. To lift, we need to grab the little black triangle that's up here, and we'll lift that up. That's good for now. You can see it's hovering. We're going to leave this be for now, because what we need to make now is the chassis. We've talked about in class what the chassis is on a truck or on a car or on a train. The chassis is what the wheels attach to on a vehicle. And we are going to be taking this other block and turning that into our chassis. I'm going to make this tan so it matches the worksheet that we're working on in class. And obviously this is a little fatter than the one that we worked on in class. So I'm going to shrink that down just a little bit. It's still a little fat. I'm going to grab this corner, pull it this way, and I'm going to make it just a bit shorter than our rectangular prism for the top part of our rail car. There we go. I think that's probably okay. Stretch that up just a little bit. If I pull that over here, yep, we'll come back to that in a second. But I think this is a good size. So if you really want an exact size, you could say 47 by 17. But again, I'm not super interested in the exact size. This is not a architecture class. This is a 3D design class. All right, so I have these two parts done, but I need the wheels now. To get the wheels, we are going to make one wheel, and then we're going to duplicate that wheel and use it multiple times, not just through this lesson, but with lessons throughout our 3D design unit. Our wheel is going to start off as a cylinder. I'm going to pull this in. Holy moly, that's way too big. So let's go ahead and shrink that down. Remember to keep something to scale in Tinkercad. If I try to stretch this right now, like here or here, it's going to get a little wacky. See, whoa, I don't like that. I'm going to bring this in to keep this to scale. I want to shrink this down without losing the dimensions. I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm just going to shrink that down a little bit. Now, this wheel is still a little too fat. I'm going to make this flatter. I'm going to grab this top square here, and if I pull this down, there we go. That looks just about right. I think if I were to rotate that, and I'll get to that in a minute, I think that'll fit just fine on our chassis. Now, if you look at our worksheet that we're working on, I do need a hubcap, essentially. So I'm going to grab the work plane. I'm going to change the work plane. It's going to sit right on top of this wheel. You can see now my work plane was blue, and now it's orange. It's hovering just a little bit off the ground. And that's fine, because now I'm going to take my other cylinder, and now it's going to sit right on top of this wheel that I already made. And oh no, once again, it's way too big. I am going to shrink this guy down pretty darn tiny. You don't have to do the sound effects. I just like to. I'm going to center that. I'm going to use the arrow keys on my Chromebook to do that. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly centered. Let's see here. I'm going to turn that black just so it's a little bit easier to see. And yeah, I think that's probably just about right. Maybe not quite perfect. But like I always like to say in class, mistakes are just proof that you're trying. I'd rather have you make a couple of mistakes and not have it be perfect. I'd rather have you make some mistakes, I should say, than not have you do it at all. So if mine can't be quite perfect, neither can yours. And that's okay. All right, now I need to drop this into my existing wheel. As you can see right now, it's just sitting up on top. I'm going to grab that little black triangle again, and it's going to drop down right in there. There we go. Now it's in. Do you remember what we need to do to get these shapes together right now? If I move that to wheel, it's going to, this part of the wheel and the other part of the wheel are moving separately. I need to select both of these and go up to group. When I group an object, now they're together. I don't have to worry about those pieces coming apart. Mr. Edwards, you might say this is still kind of not working because I need to get this onto the side of this chassis. Well, no worries. Take a look right here. This is my rotate tool. I need to rotate this 90 degrees. You can see I can just pull it one way. I can pull it back down 90 degrees. And I need to lift this up a little bit. I did bring my work plane back down, if you noticed. It's back flat on the ground. It's not hovering anymore. And now it's stuck in the ground just a little bit. You can see my one wheel is down lower, but that's okay. Once again, I'm going to go back up to my black triangle, lift that up a little bit. And now I'm going to use those arrow keys, and I'm going to put it right against my chassis. There we go, making sure that it's slightly in when we go to finalize our project. We want to make sure that all the pieces are connected. I don't want it hovering out. Make sure it's just barely in there. Now, I've said this before. Do we have to make more than one wheel in Tinkercad? No. I'm going to go up here to duplicate. I'm going to duplicate that, and all I have to do is use my arrow key. I'm just going to slide over, and there's my second wheel. Now, I need to make two more on the other side. Once again, I better not be making another wheel. That takes too much time. All I want to do is duplicate. So I'm going to go to duplicate. I'm going to pull one over here, and I'm going to go to duplicate, and there's my other one. Now, once again, I do have to rotate these around. I'm going to grab this rotating tool. It needs to go a full 180 degrees. This isn't math class, but you should know that's halfway around in a circle. There we go. In fact, I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to rotate that one. I'm just going to take this one, and I'm going to push that right in there. Go up to duplicate it again. That's going to slide over. There we go. It's okay if they're not completely even on each side. That looks pretty good to me. And then, remember, I have to group these together. So I'm just going to select all of these and go up to group. It's going to make them all the same color. That now means I can move this whole thing around and not have to worry about those pieces being in different places or coming apart as I'm moving components. Great. So that's my chassis. This is the main part of my box. I'm going to just bump that over just a little bit. There we go. Now you can see my top of my rail car is hovering over my chassis. So once again, I'm going to go to that black triangle, drop that down just a little bit. That looks like it's all on top there. I might change that over just a smidge with my arrow key, bump that a little bit to the left. I'm going to select all of this to group it all together. And there is my rough completed rail car. In our next class, we'll learn how to add some additional details to our rail car. As always, if you have any questions, you can email me at nate.edwards@rpsmn.org. Thanks for watching, sixth graders.